All right, we're now on to number 11, and I've been told by Murad that this is going to destroy everything that I've heard about. I've always assumed in the past, and this is something I've always been brought up with when all my teaching. It's something that I teach as well, and that is the word wahi. Wahi is a word that I've always known as what Muhammad, uh, when the revelation came down to Muhammad, this is called wahi, that he received this revelation. And this word is the many means of revelation. Sometime he heard the buzzing of bees, or sometime he frothed at the mouth. At times he fell to the ground, like in a frenzy. And yet this wahi, I assumed, was standard work. Everybody knew about it, and of course the Quran refers to it. So I've been told. It looks like what I've been told is wrong. Looks like that's not the case in the Quran. And as we're doing in this whole series, we're going to the Quran, we're looking at the Arabic. Murad, who has done a whole translation of the Quran by going back and taking the Arabic back to its original text and the original meanings. Oh, here's another one, number 11. And this is all new to me. So back to you, over to you, Murad. What in the world have I been told wrong? And share with us your PowerPoint, and let's see where these translators have gone wrong.
Okay, I will go right into it. Okay, so the question is wahy a revelation? Here in the Arabic it says, اتبع ما أوحي إليك. أوحي, what has been, and they say revealed. So Mustafa Khattab, the clear Quran says, follow what is revealed to you. And Sahih International says, follow what has been revealed to you. And they add, of course, O Muhammad and O Prophet. This is just something people, they are used to it now. Itba just says follow to a singular person who is a male, but it is not right to say O Prophet. But nonetheless, we are looking at the word uhiya. This is wrong. Wahi is not revelation. Kashf is revelation. Reveal is kashafa. It is the same word used with the Queen of Sheba revealing her legs in the Quran. Kashaf is revealing something that you are not supposed to see. Like here, Queen of Sheba revealing her legs, this is not something that you would see every day. This is the word kashafa. So wahy is not kashf. This is different. Of course, I have multiple examples here so that we could get a very good idea of what the word wahi means. Here it says فخرج على قومه من المحراب فأوحى إليهم. So here, the clear Quran, because this word is used with a human being, it says signaling and signal. It doesn't say reveal here because the human being cannot reveal. Funny enough, Quran translators themselves never maintain that wahi is reveal. Here they have it as signal. Now here, in this example, I say Quran translators, they panic. Let's see here. It says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضِهِمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. So it says in the Arabic that the jinn, they do wahy to one another. So how will they get away from this? This is a dilemma. So are the jinn giving revelation from God or what? The Quran says jinn does wahy to one another. So they now had to forge another word to be on the safe side. Here Mustafa Khattab says whispering, the clear Quran. So now wahy of God is all of a sudden is whispering. And here it's inspiring. This is Sahih International. Sometimes people say inspiring is right. No, inspire is ilham, and this word is in the Quran. Alhamaha fujura. So you cannot use it twice. Wahy comes from iha, which means hints or cues. C-U-E, cues, hints or cues. This has nothing to do with whispering or revealing.
What does wahi actually mean then? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It comes from iha. You know, if uh, if someone, my friend, he told me this girl likes me, I tell him, how do you know? he will say, well, she gave me certain إيحاءات or certain wahy. She gave me certain hints, certain cues that I
Okay.
am smart enough to read. This is wahy. It's the same as إيحاء, hint or cues. This is the correct word and it fits in every Quranic context. That's why I have it this way in my translation in every single context. You see? But revelation, it gives it another layer. This is the layer of the sin. They assume that something came from heaven and stuff. This is not in the Quran. This is another sin, standard Islamic narrative, superimposition.
Another sin of Islamic standard Islamic narrative. So it should be hints and cue, and instead they put it is revelation, revelatory. But then they have a real problem with the devils or the demons because they can't be doing revelation; they have to be whispering. So they change it completely there.
Yes, but of course, the correct primitive word, which is hint, it works in every single context.
Mhm.
The jinn, they hint to one another. زخرف القول, meaning the beautiful of saying. غرورا, this is what the Arabic is saying. It's hint or cue or signal. This is the correct word.
Okay, number 12.
So now we move to the word halal. What is halal? People say halal means lawful. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا. Oh humanity, eat what is lawful. And here it says in Sahih International, that which is lawful. All Quran translations have it as lawful, which is funny because I ask, what law? The word is not even mentioned in the Quran. The word law is not in the Quran. Here, this verse, maybe it could crack it. That's the idea. That's how I created my translation. I looked at the same word in every single verse. It says here, وَحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي, meaning, and remove the impediment from my tongue, or and untie the knot from my tongue. So the question here is, what is common between the word ihlil, which is the verb form for halal, and the word halal? It is not make the knot of my tongue lawful. Of course not. They did not check this word in every single context of the Quran. So now it is not make lawful? Of course not. The reason almost all Quran translators have the word lawful and unlawful in it is simply because they're obsessed with Sharia law, so they superimpose it over the Quran. Reality is, there is no word law in the Quran. The text is much more primitive than that. Conclusion, this is another sin standard Islamic narrative obsession, which is not based on linguistic basis. So I didn't say what the word halal mean. Halal means make loose. This same word we use when we change a tire in the car. We say, make these knots loose. So here when it says in the Arabic, al-halal tayyiban, meaning that whatever you eat in the earth is now loose for you to eat. It's there, it's free, it's not restricted. Yes, you could say, well, it's kind of lawful, but this is a jump. We don't want that jump. Keep it primitive. It's loose, it's right there for you. As in English, they say on the loose. So this was example number 12. What do you think of this one so far?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, that's good that what you're doing is you're going back and putting into its real context. And now it's so in every time that I see halal meat now everywhere, that should be make loose, should be make loose rather than lawful.
Yes, the meat that's loose, that's there, that you can use. It's free, it's there, you can use. It's not restricted.
Now, the comeback for the Muslims may say, "Oh, yeah, what's the difference? It's still the same meaning. That which is made loose is also made lawful."
Yeah, but the word lawful, this is a very big word. This has to do with the Sharia of Moses. This is the law of the Torah, which the Quran doesn't follow. This is a superimposition. Even if it doesn't make a big difference, that is not a good argument that I use the wrong word. You see? That's the idea. When you say lawful, it gives it a different grandeur that's not there.
Yeah, it puts a restriction on it, a much greater restriction, which in reality, what it's saying is it's loose. It is free. It is much, therefore, it is open to people to use.
Exactly.
Okay, what's number 13?
Number 13 is the word rajama. In Arabic it says قالوا يا شعيب ما نفقه كثيرا مما تقول وإنا لنراك فينا ضعيفا ولولا رهطك لرجمناك. لرجمناك. We would have, they say, stoned you. Stoned. And this Sahih International says stoned to death. So this assumes that the guy is, you're not just running after him with a stone. No, you also put him in the ground and started stoning. These are a lot of assumptions. The word rajam does not mean stoning. Says who? Says them. Let's look at this same word in another context in the Quran. Here it says قال فاخرج منها فإنك رجيم. رجم رجيم, two variations on the same word, which is rajama. One is the adjective in English, and one is a verb. It's the same word. It says here, Mustafa Khattab now comes back to his senses, the clear Quran, and it says, get out of paradise, you are truly cursed. And here Sahih International again got back to its senses and says, you are expelled. So no stoning? No. Did this verse change anything in their mind? No. Why? Because they are blinded by the sin, standard Islamic narrative. And of course, you have the verse of stoning with Umar ibn al-Khattab and all this stuff. So they are tied to this verse. They had to distort the Quran one way or another. Reality is the word rajam mean expel. We will surely expel you, kick you out, not stone you. Just like the devil. The devil is rajim. He is expelled from paradise. This is the exact same word. In Arabic, we say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, the one which is expelled, not the one who was stoned. That's the idea. So when people say the verse of Rajm was missing from the Quran, I say no, it wasn't missing. It's a hoax. And also, even if we have this verse now, it is still wrong linguistically because it doesn't mean stone. What do you think of this?
Okay, so that whole story about Umar remonstrating, that when we look at the Quran, we're not going to find the verse of the Rajam there. That is a misnomer. It was never there to begin with. It never should be there. It was an expelling, not a stoning. That has been imposed not only because the narratives are there, it's now been imposed on the Quran itself. Now, that verse, Rajam, is not in chapter 24, verse 2 in the Quran. In chapter 24, verse 2 in the Quran, it has the words 100 lashes for the punishment of adultery. And you have this famous reference in Al-Bukhari saying, with Umar remonstrating and saying, what am I going to do? Anybody that committed adultery, the prophet stoned, we stoned after him. But what are they going to do when they look at the Quran in chapter 24, verse 2? And now it's 100 lashes. They're going to say that the Quran has been changed. But in reality, what you're saying here, no, the Quran hasn't been changed. It's the meaning that has been changed. This is supposed to be expelled, not it's supposed to be stoned.
Yeah, the people who created the myth of Omar saying that I I fear people say verse of stoning was never there. These people, they have the assumption that Rajm is stoning. This is the problem. Why? Because they're much too late from the Quran. They were basically Persians who didn't know proper Arabic. But Rajm, it just means expelling. That's the idea.
Great stuff.
Now, this one is very critical, of course, is the word kafir. What does kafir mean? Anyone, uh, an English speaker, assumes it means someone who is not a Muslim, someone who is an infidel, someone who is just basically not a Muslim in the very basic sense of the word. But here it says, we find the word يكفروه as a verb in the Quran. وما يفعلوا من خير فلن يكفروه. يكفروه. And here, clear Quran has it as denied. They will never be denied the reward. And Sahih International says they will never be denied uh, their reward. So here kafir is deny. Kafar as a verb is denied. This is interesting. Let's see another verse. It says here, إن تجتنبوا كبائر ما تنهون عنه نكفر عنكم سيئاتكم. So here God himself, Allah is doing takfir. That's why I say here Allah is kafir. Yes, because he does takfir. Because the word kafir doesn't mean infidel. We will absolve you from your lesser misdeeds. And here Sahih International says we will remove from you your lesser sins. So as a verb here, when it comes to Allah, they do not say he is an infidel. They say he will absolve your sins or remove your sins. So Allah does takfir, yes. The precise word is in my translation, but as you can see, it does not mean become an infidel. We have more clues. Let's read the Quran again. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونِي. They say here, and do not be ungrateful, and do not deny me, as Allah, God, do not deny me. Again, no infidels here. But this next verse will reveal the sin, which is the standard Islamic narrative poison, once more. But before I go to this, I want to say, what does the word kafir mean? It means the one who covers. And this comes from the Arabic dictionary. A peasant is a kafir because he covers the ground when he puts the seeds in there. So as you can see, the word cover, cover up, or coverer, it works in every single context. Allah, he does takfir, meaning he covers your sins. And the kafir are the one who covers the truth. And maybe it's actually covering the truth that Jesus is God. But this is an assumption that I don't want to assume right now. But a kafir is someone who covers the truth. It is not an infidel. It is not someone who is not Muslim. This is a joke. This is not in the Quran. Now we are back to the sin. That's why I say sin, standard Islamic narrative, intensifies. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Now they say, indeed, those who disbelieve in the clear Quran and Sahih International. So as you can see, back to the old habits again. When they see إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Of course, it should be surely those who had covered up the reality, cover up the truth, the people who covered the truth. These are the cover. So a Muslim can be a kafir at the same time. He could be a Muslim, but he covers the truth. He doesn't say the truth, maybe in front of a court or something, then he is a kafir. So he's a Muslim and a kafir at the same time. This is the correct language. You see, what do you think of this example?
Well, these are amazing examples you're coming up with here, Murad. You've done four of them right here in this episode that we need to really unpack. This whole thing with wahi. When you come to wahi, which I've always assumed was revelation, this is how Muhammad received his revelation, through wahi. And what you're saying, no, these are just hints, or these are cues, or these are signals, not not revelation itself. But they need to have that in there to give authority to Muhammad. So they change the word and they bring in a imposition from standard Islamic narrative of Muhammad receiving a revelation, when in reality he's nothing. There's nothing of the sort. In chapter 2, verse 168, you look at the word halal, and you've always said, everywhere you go, halal means unlawful, but it doesn't mean unlawful, because there's no word law in the Quran. So that's the wrong meaning. It really should be make loose. That should be you should be free. In other words, it's just the opposite of actually what they made it. They say it restricts it because it's unlawful. No, really, it's to be made loose for you to actually imbibe in it. You then go to the word rajam, the famous verse that we've always heard, that when someone commits adultery, this verse on rajam, this verse that you are supposed to stone them, and the prophet did it, and they did it after them, and Umar was remonstrating that what's going to happen when they don't see this verse in the Quran. Well, now the verse is there in 1191 and also 1534. They've imposed this stoning. They put the word stoning in there, even though it's not there in the Arabic. The real word in the Arabic is expelled, not stoning. So they have to find Sharia law. They have to find support for it. They have to find authority for it. And so that's why they put it into it. And then you come with your last example, and that's kafir. Which many Muslims say anybody who is an unbeliever, the infidel or the idolater, they are the kafirs. We're not the kafirs, we're the al kitab. But the kafirs are those infidels. And here in every case, in chapter 3, verse 1 and chapter 4, you also have it in chapter 2, over and over again, they have the disbelievers, those who have disbelieved, or those who are the infidels. In every case, though, in the Arabic, it's not that at all. They're covering, and it could be Muslims themselves who are covering. Fascinating that when you go back to the original Arabic, the theology and even the context could be completely different than what they're trying to impose on it. But that's what happens when you look at a text and you need to have some backstory. You need to have this asbat al-nazul. Do you need to have the reason why these verses were sent down? You take what are much later stories and impose it on the text that you have in front of you. So good that you're actually taking it back to its original text. I'm so glad you're doing that, because absolutely what we're finding is so many of these translations are mistranslations. Folks, you need to get Murad's translation, which we need to actually, I think we need to get it printed up. I can see now that these are so damaging. And these are huge theological points that you're bringing up here. I mean, the idea of revelation is not what is in the Quran there. This idea of kafir that has been imposed on the infidels is not there. This idea that halal, the whole halal market and the enormous marketplace for that has been brought around the world, that is not really what it means. And especially this idea that women and men are supposed to be stoned when they commit adultery. Turns out that has nothing to do with that. That should be nothing more than expelled or cursed. Boy, huge ramifications. You can see then why much of the Quran is not what we believed, and certainly not what we're being told. Thanks so much, Murad. We're going to start again. We're going to do again. We're going to go start with number 15. And I think number 15 is, I'll let you go into it. We won't get into it, but it's going to be looking at something that we should recognize. We're going to hold it there so we don't let it out of the bag. Wait till you see. He's got even more damaging stuff coming up. This is Murad and Jay then. Over and out.